And welcome to the Davenport Coaches Show, live from Uccello's in Caledonia, where we are on Tuesday nights for the next few weeks. We've been here for a while, and we will be talking diamonds today. That's right, we're not giving away any gems or jewels, but we're talking baseball and softball, the two programs. For the softball program, head coach for the softball team, Amber Bowman, is our first guest, and then in the second part of the program, head baseball coach Kevin Tidy will join us. But to start out tonight, we will welcome Amber Bowman in his second year as heading up the program. Amber, welcome to the show. We'll talk a little bit about last year. You folks had come back from Florida, and you actually had started playing some other non-conference games. You were geared up for the conference, and then everything got shut down. Tell us what that was like, what it was like to go back and tell us how you explained or tried to explain that to your players.
Honestly, it was kind of a whirlwind. We were supposed to leave for Ohio to play one last non-conference series before getting ready for conference, and our girls were actually right outside the weight room getting ready to go lift when we got the phone call that we were just closing down for the weekend. Was the first initial thing. We were shut down for the weekend, and we were supposed to send let them go home if they want to. We were not allowed to practice this was a Thursday, I believe. We were supposed to leave on Friday. And so our girls were right outside the weight room getting ready to go lift. And I put it in the group message, hey, we're shut down for the weekend. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. So that was our send-off, because then on Friday is when they made the call that the season was shut down.
Did you have an inkling at all, Amber, that they were going to shut down when you got the first weekend thing, or did you feel that was it's just going to be the weekend and we're back at it?
I honestly, I guess I was a little naive, because I really did think that we were just shutting down for the weekend, and I was like, there's no way that they're going to shut down everything. And then when they shut down the Big Ten, men's basketball tournament and everything like that, then it was like, oh no, we're in trouble.
Then you knew. Knew when the money sports started disappearing.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about how you came to Davenport University. You started out, again, at your alma mater, Rio Grande in Ohio.
Yes.
And that, of course, you had an outstanding playing career there. You went to coaching, but we should mention Rio Grande, of course, is the home of the legendary Bevo Francis.
Absolutely.
Again, our listeners who don't follow college basketball, Bevo Francis made Rio Grande, put him on the map, really, by scoring over 100 points in a college basketball game back in the 50s, late 50s, early 60s, was it? I'm not sure, but in any case, I don't know if you knew this. Maybe they told you that when you came here about Dominez Burnett. They created the Bevo Francis Award, which goes to the top college basketball player in the nation outside of Division I. And the very first winner of the Bevo Francis Award was Dominez Burnett from Davenport.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah, so that was a great honor for him. But anyway, back to your time there. Again, outstanding career. Tell us about Rio Grande, what kind of school it is, and how that helped form you into the coach that you are today.
Rio Grande is actually down on Bob Evans' farm. So anyone that's been to Bob Evans, you see all the barns and stuff. Those are real. Those are right outside of Rio Grande.
So you guys ate breakfast well, right?
Yes. Yeah. Lots of visits to the restaurant there right across the street for sure. But it was a small school. It was exactly what I needed. I needed something small. I wanted somewhere to go and where I could compete. So it was a great fit for me. Coach Piles was kind of took us under his wing. He was a great mentor for all of us. We still keep in touch with him still to this day as our one of our first college coaches. So
you were an assistant coach there after your playing days. Can you go back, Amber, and pick a time as you were an undergrad going to school there where you started thinking, you know what, I might like to coach this game? Can you think back when that spark went off?
Honestly, it was like my senior year. I went to school for physical education, and I had just finished up. I couldn't student teach and play my spring season, so I had to go the following spring to student teach. So while I was doing that, I was actually driving back down on the weekends to help. There was a new head coach there, Kristen Bradshaw, and I was just going in to help her every once in a while when I could, because I was student teaching, and I didn't want to leave the game. And then at that point in time, they had a GA position opened up, and they said, if that's something I was interested in, it was mine to take, really. And so I was just like, absolutely, I don't want to leave the game. I'm not ready to leave the game, and I never left.
All right, and then you became the head coach at Rio Grande. And tell us about that transition, and what was the toughest part from going from assistant coach to head coach?
Well, I was fortunate enough that when I left, after I got my graduate assistant, or when I was finished with my GA at Rio, I left and went to UNOH.
Northwestern Ohio.
Yes,
yep,
and then I had, so Tracy Cuppen there was a huge mentor for me and really helped me become give me every tool that I needed to be a head coach at that point in time. She was a huge mentor. So then that really helped me. I ran their JV program there. So that way when I went back to Rio, I really felt like I was ready to roll. And, it was a huge step for me to be able to go back to be a head coach, at like 25 years old, and then also to be at my alma mater.
Then you went on to Purdue Fort Wayne
Yes.
in the Summit League. Again, a Division I program. You were an assistant coach there. Tell us about the difference. Now you're coaching a head coach at Division II. What could you tell the average fan about the difference between Division I softball and Division II softball?
There's definitely a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of differences as well. Our travel schedule was definitely very crazy at the Division I level. We would start the first weekend. Also, being in our conference that we were in, we had a lot of travel in the Summit League, all the way out to North Dakota, South Dakota, and all of those. So we definitely, our travel schedule was crazy. It was worth it though, and so much fun. And recruiting, we went recruiting across the country too. So we were wide-based recruiting too. So
then the opening comes up here at Davenport.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us how you were contacted and what appealed to you when you looked at it. You were in a good place there at Purdue Fort Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
And tell us what it was that really sold you on coming to head up the Panthers program.
Yeah. I was really familiar with Davenport from when I was an assistant at UNOH, which when they were all in the WAC together. So I was familiar with Davenport, but the facilities are next to none around here. Just the way that they run the athletic department and the campus and the university in general, those were some huge steps that I knew that this would be a great place to work at. So that was kind of the starting point of that. And then I went through the whole interview process, and luckily they chose me.
The facilities certainly were a big sell, right? But that speaks for the commitment, right?
Mm-hmm.
It did as well. Let's talk a little bit about the team last year. Of course, you've got some outstanding talent that left after last year. Alexa Flores and company, also Kennedy Crawford and company. But you've got some good talent coming back, including Rachel Longball Griffin, who was, before you got shut down, she was really putting up some impressive power numbers.
She was.
Tell us about Rachel and what makes her such a good hitter.
I tell you what, Rachel is next to none. Like I don't know that I can say I've ever coached someone like Rachel who has the mentality to come in and work hard each and every day and try to figure out a new way to get better. She's got that grit that just pushes herself each and every day. And when something's not clicking, she tries to figure out a way to make it click.
One of the things that certainly will pick any coach's spirits up is you return your entire pitching staff.
Yes.
Tell us about the pitching staff you've got coming back and a couple of key performers that you look for on the mound.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, our Ellie had the most innings last year, so she's returning.
That's Ellie Muhlenberg.
Yes. And then Emma Miller and Taylor Simon are both returning as well, who have very close numbers. So we're super excited to have all those back. Haley Krieger is a dual sport athlete, so she didn't get a whole lot of time last year. We haven't been able to see her this year. So that'll be another piece to the puzzle that we'll figure out as we go through. And plus we have a newcomer that's a pitcher this year as well. So definitely huge.
I don't think there's any sport, combine that with baseball, softball and baseball right now, that has been more happy with the weather we've had in the last few weeks.
Absolutely.
You're in full practice mode for another day or so, right, before you cut it back?
Yeah, Friday's our last day of full practice.
Okay. How great has it been for you and your team to get outside and play as opposed to inside practice?
Honestly, it's been a huge help for us, because for us to go inside at this point in time with COVID and everything, we kind of be, obviously not what you want. So for the weather that we've had this fall has been huge. We've been so lucky. And I mean, who would have thought in November we'd be outside with 70-degree weather too. So
each of the coaches, we're visiting with Amber Bowman, the head softball coach at Davenport here. We'll have the head baseball coach, Kevin Tidy, join us in the second half of the program as we broadcast you live from Uccello's in Caledonia. Stop on out. They got great food, and boy, they have great service here, and takeout You want it to go? They have great takeout and delivery as well. Amber, each of the coaches we've had on the program this year has talked about the time they've had to spend with players, because these student athletes in many ways, have had the rug pulled out from underneath them. Not just athletically, but academically in terms of what they've had to adjust to. Tell us about the challenges you've faced and how you're trying to overcome those.
Yeah, absolutely. I think our first challenge was us losing a season last year. So we've been going through this of the ups and downs since March. And we met with the team virtually a lot throughout the summer, and we just warned them that, this fall is going to be a roller coaster. And we're going to have lots of ups and downs, and we're just going to have to roll with the curves that we're going to get thrown at us. And just to prepare that there will be days that we might be practicing for 2 weeks and we might be shut down for 2 weeks. And by golly, were we right with that? We got shut down and lost 2 weeks of practice this fall. But, our girls are strong. They're mentally tough, and they've really done well with rolling with the punches, so to speak, this fall.
When/if you get shut down as you get into next spring, and let's hope that we're through that by then. But if it does, how much of the responsibility falls onto the players as far as their training on their own?
Goodness, that's a really tough question to answer. Obviously, even when we were shut down for 2 weeks, we did every day. We met virtually with the team. We did workouts virtually. Luckily we had the chance before we sent them home that we could send them all home with a couple bands, a tennis ball, just for things for them to do. So every day we were doing some kind of workout as a team when we were shut down. So I don't know that I would ever want to put the full responsibility on them. We're all in this together, and we're going to battle through this together.
What about the academics? Because that's another big part of it.
Absolutely, yeah. So we've been pretty fortunate with Davenport has a lot of online classes as it is. So we have a lot of kids that are used to that. So when we went online in the spring, that transition wasn't as difficult as I know some other schools had that problem. And then this fall, it's definitely an adjustment for our newcomers when, they're used to being in high school and everything else sitting in class all day. And then now they have real-time virtual and just in-seat every once in a while. It's definitely been a learning curve for them as they go through. And, we check in with our kids academically just to make sure they're still doing all right. It's definitely a challenge, though.
Amber, we talked a little bit about some of the key players you have coming back, Rachel and your pitching staff all back. Give us a player that you think is ready to make a big jump. Maybe they're a good performer before, but they're ready to take that to that next level to become really one of the top players in the GLIAC.
Yeah, I think that's we have a lot of them that are right now that are really just, have the gas to the floor right now as they go through. I think Gabby is one of them that really sticks out. She was really...
That's Gabby Palazzolo.
Yes, she had a really good freshman year. She was really figuring it out last year as we were getting shut down, and, she's really working hard. The other one would be Mariah Cura. She didn't get a whole lot of playing time last year, but she's really been chomping at the bit this fall, making a lot of adjustments. Lindsey Goodman, another one just to name. She's really made a lot of adjustments this fall as well. So, just to name 3 of them off the top of my head, those are 3 that are really chomping at the bit, ready to roll.
And Amber, one final question. How has everything that's happened with the pandemic affected your recruiting? What can you do? What can't you do because of that?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a big fan of this whole online recruiting. It's like trying to get somebody off of just watching a skills video, so to speak. So I know I met with Rhonda one time this summer. She's like, "What can I help you with or anything?" I said, "Anything on how to figure out how to recruit online. It's not my thing." So
you want to see them right in front of you on a diamond. Yeah,
absolutely. And there's so much you can't see on the video. You can't see how they're acting in the dugout. You can't see how quick they bounce back from a mistake. You can't hear them or how they're interacting with their teammates, any of those things. You can't see their parents on the sideline, outside the fence. So there's so much on that video feed that you don't get to see.
All right, Amber. Well, we certainly look for a big season next spring from you and the Panthers, and we appreciate you stopping by. Best of luck to you and your team, and thanks for joining us here.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, this is the Davenport Coaches Show, live from Uccellos of Caledonia. We're going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back with Kevin Tidy, the head baseball coach here at Davenport.
Champions know how to seize opportunities. When they see moments of greatness unfold right before their eyes, they push as hard as they possibly can, and then they push harder. Because the heart of a champion never settles, never quits, and never stops giving its all. We are champions. We are Division II. We go big, we give it everything we've got, and we win. On the field, on our campuses, in our communities, for our causes, in our careers. We rise to become champions in everything we do. We are Division II, and there are no limits here. We make our time count. We set our own path. We become champions on our terms. It's time to up your game, because we're here to play and learn. But most importantly, we're here to discover ourselves, our vision, our heart, our drive, to achieve every goal we aim for, because we want to be champions at the highest level, life. At Division II, the opportunities are here. Are you ready?
And we're back on the Davenport Coaches Show, live from Uccello's in Caledonia. I'm Rick Berkey. This time we're going to stay on the diamond, but go to a different diamond. We're going to go from softball over to baseball. Kevin Tidy is the veteran baseball coach for your Davenport Panthers. He joins us right now, 9th season, heading up the program. And Kevin, we were talking about Amber, about all the challenges now, and I want to ask you the same thing. Let's go back to last spring. It was first week of March, actually just into the second week of March. You were playing at home against Hillsdale College, and you got the word that you were shutting down first just for the weekend, right?
Yeah, we were actually, the day we were told, the bus was actually there. We were leaving to go out to Pennsylvania. So,
oh, geez.
Told us we weren't going to be able to go, and didn't really have any idea that we were going to be canceled permanently, but found out the next day that we were completely done. So it was tough.
Yeah, and let's visit what it's been like to keep the spirits up of the young student athletes. Okay, I mean we know that their life has been turned upside down. I mean, because they're students, they're athletes, and both of those were drastically changed.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, we met with them virtually quite a bit in the spring up until June-ish. So we were able to keep tabs on them pretty good. And then fortunately for a lot of them, I think we had about over 30 guys playing summer ball starting, mid to late June. And they played all the way up. Some of them played all the way up until we started practice almost.
So that was one advantage you had maybe over some other sports, right?
Yeah, we were lucky because I think we had 28 still playing up in Traverse City and in Battle Creek and Kalamazoo in the Northwoods League all the way up until like September 4th.
Kevin, of course, was the head baseball coach when we, at the NAIA level, he made 4 straight appearances in the NAIA National Championship from 2014 to 17. Tell us, Kevin, about the biggest adjustment of that jump from NAIA to Division II.
I think the biggest thing that I've noticed is that there's much more depth in the NCAA. I mean, the teams that are finishing at the bottom of our conference can beat you every single weekend. So, I mean, noticed in the NAIA, some of the teams in the bottom, weren't as strong, and maybe they weren't funded as well or whatever, so they didn't have the same type of rosters. But there's no easy games in NCAA Division II, that's for sure.
So, as Amber said, you're just coming to the end of full schedule, right? And
the fall schedule.
Fall schedule, yep. Right. And you, like her, have been blessed with this incredible weather, right?
Yeah,
tell us what you've been able to do in this spring-like weather.
Yeah, this last week's been amazing. So we were in the middle of our Red versus Gray Inter-Squad World Series. So that actually ended today. The Red team pulled it out with a 4-2 series win. So we played a best of 7 and got done right before it's supposed to change to a little colder weather again. So
when you, as the head coach, are making your assessments going into the spring, how much does what they showed you in the fall carry over as far as how much you're going to count on a guy or not count on a guy? I
think a lot, especially for younger guys. A lot of the freshmen coming in. I mean, obviously, we're returning all of our seniors except for Jake Bushberger.
Who had a phenomenal career.
Yeah, he's tough to replace for sure. But, returning everybody, we already know a lot of those guys and what they can do. But getting some of those freshmen and younger guys in and letting them compete with the older guys just to kind of see where they're at is a big deal for us.
What would the strengths be for next spring's team going into this, right at this, what you know right now?
Well, offensively, we return everybody except for Bushberger. Obviously he's a big piece and going to be tough to replace, but we got some new kids in that are going to do a heck of a job filling that spot. And I think offensively we were off to a great start last year. One of the top offensive clubs in the country probably. So I definitely think that's going to be a strength. But pitching's been really good this fall. We've got all of our staff coming back that was off to a pretty good start, plus a couple new guys that are definitely going to step in the mix right away.
Busy with Kevin Tidy, head baseball coach at Davenport University, here at the Davenport Coaches Show at Uccello's in Caledonia, right off the Beltline, just off of 84th Street. Kevin, tell us about, I want to go back to that jump NAIA Division II from a recruiting standpoint. How did that change how you approached recruiting?
I don't think it's changed a ton for us. We were recruiting that level player. The top teams in the WAC that we used to be in would do just fine in the GLIAC, and that's the level that we felt like we were recruiting, to begin with. So, I think that we're getting a better overall student athlete. I think at this point, just academically, we've jumped up a lot over the last 2 to 3 years. And we're doing a lot better in school too, I think. So, I think that's probably the biggest thing I've noticed is we have a more well-rounded student athlete.
You mentioned the academic side of it, Kevin, which is such a big part of it. Tell us what you're hearing from the players. What are the things that are causing them the biggest problems now with the variation of when they can attend in person or online? What are you hearing from the players that they find the most challenging?
I think that the feedback's been fairly solid, actually. I was really proud of them in the spring because, losing baseball, and then having to go completely virtual and not be in school, not have the structure that, we normally have, definitely was a concern. And I was nervous, that some guys might not do well. But, we still had over a 3.2 GPA in the spring. And guys have been doing really well so far this fall. All of our grade checks and everything have been great. So, really proud of how they've handled all this during this craziness.
We've had other coaches shows here, and I know I don't have to sell you on the food here at Uccello's at Caledonia. I've seen you and the family. Your kids up there take up a wing here.
Yeah, it's my second home, that's for sure.
Tell us what's your favorite food here?
Oh, you got to go with pasta. The pasta's good. Subs, all that good stuff. So.
All right, give us a player that you think is going to make a big jump from last year to this year.
Well,
or two, if you think of one, a couple.
Yeah, I think offensively, Noah Marcou. He had a really good start for us last year, but he's worked really hard and getting himself bigger and stronger, and it's just been amazing this fall. And then Nolan Anspaugh, he's probably our second offensive player that we're expecting big things out of. Kid's the fastest kid that we've ever had in our program and was on pace to really break the school record by a lot last year before this all went down on stolen bases. So I think that those two guys on the offensive side, and then Dalton O'Boyle was our number one last year, returning, had a great summer. Him and James Rogers and Cal Juraskovic, they're all going to be big guys for us.
It pales in comparison to what the teams and the players lost. But our producer here tonight, Tyler Kuehl, and myself, we were going to call the GLIAC baseball games last spring.
Yeah,
we were scheduled to call those games, and that got washed out as well. So we look forward to. They were going to be in Lansing. Do you know, is the conference tournament going to stay there?
The conference tournament's supposed to still be staying there as scheduled. So,
at the home of the Lugnuts there. It's a terrific baseball. Of course, I'm very familiar with that from my Whitecaps days.
Yep.
Great stadium as
well.
well.
Cool part is all those guys are returning. So, and that's kind of been the motivating factor, I think, for all these guys is they know that we had a pretty special team and that we were rolling pretty good and that they all got to stay and play. So it's going to be a pretty fun spring.
Now, Kevin, as I understand it, players did not lose a year of eligibility right last year, right?
Yep,
so if they were a sophomore last spring, they're a sophomore athletically this year, right?
That's correct. So they'll have the choice, and we'll have the choice on whether they stay and keep playing, or graduate and move on and become grown-ups and get jobs and all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, and that's something you understand, right? If somebody's a senior, like you didn't have many seniors last year.
Well, we had 13.
You had 13. Okay,
so,
all right.
Yeah, and all of them decided to come back, and a lot of them are doing grad programs now. So.
Okay, so the grad opportunities at Davenport certainly open that up, huh?
Without a doubt.
Back to the recruiting element, Kevin. What's your base? I mean, how much do you set a percentage? Like, I'd like X percentage from the state of Michigan, and X percentage, if I could, outside in the Midwest, or how do you look at it?
Well, I mean, I don't know if we necessarily have a percentage, so to speak, but I mean, we definitely want to dominate the Grand Rapids area with getting the best players that we can. But I mean, we're not afraid to go outside of this area either. I mean, we've got quite a few kids from Canada in the past, and we've really done really well in the Chicago area, especially for transfers. And shoot, we've had kids from Puerto Rico, and we've had kids from California, and so some of them have been really good players for us. So I mean, we're going to take great players from wherever they come from.
You get tape when you're recruiting a player on players, and then whenever possible, you and your staff get out to go see them.
Yep.
What's different when you go in person to recruit a kid you see in person that you may not see when you're just looking at a tape?
Well, we always choose to see them in person. I think that, a lot of tapes are tough to watch and stuff, but I mean, they give you kind of an idea of, what the kid has skill-wise. But I mean, if generally, without the pandemic, if we get a tape that we think is impressive, we're definitely going to try to see that person on the field play in person. So.
All right, let's talk about the schedule. It's up in the air for next spring. Are you getting any sense at all about what it might look like?
Yeah, it's been a challenge, because we're not going to be able to go to Florida, and that was 9 of our 40 games. So,
and that's not only an important development; it's also a treat for your players.
Well, it's definitely a huge part of the student-athlete experience. I know they're really disappointed in that part, but we're going to try to fill a couple of those weekends. It's been tough right now, but you can see with the college football landscape that everybody's looking for an opponent. All of a sudden you're playing, Team A on a weekend, and they have a COVID case or something and can't play. They're, and all of a sudden their opponent's looking for somebody to play. So we may have to scramble a little bit here in the spring, but we're going to work hard to get our 40 in. That's for sure.
Let's talk about your experience at Grand Rapids JC and at Aquinas College, which how that formed you into a coach.
Well, I mean, I played for 2 of the greatest college baseball coaches in my mind ever. One of them, obviously, I brought here to coach with me for 7 years. So
that'd be Doug Wabick.
Doug Wabick, yep.
And then you played for Terry Beauchamp at Aquinas.
Yep, 2 of the great ones, man. So I mean, honestly, I said this before, but just playing for Wobbs, he was kind of the one that watching him coach and really understanding the game definitely kind of helped me decide this is what I wanted to do. And then, I mean, obviously Bo is a great one too, and still a mentor that I talk to occasionally.
Can you pick one thing from either of those coaches that you say, I really picked up this one element of coaching that I didn't think that much about until I was, playing under these guys?
Well, and they're kind of the opposite, to be honest with you. I mean, Wobbs was Wobbs would mess with guys' mind and put them in ridiculously difficult situations. And his philosophy was to make it difficult for them every day in practice, so that when they get in a tough situation in the game, they're ready for it. Where Bo was more of a relationship guy, and I think, honestly, I feel like I've taken pieces from both of them. I mean, I feel like have a great relationship with my guys, but, we try to do the same thing, make it tough on the guys in practice and prepare them for games as well.
Well, look for an exciting season next spring.
Yeah, we're excited. We're just hoping we can play. Yeah,
let's just keep our fingers crossed and get things going, and it looks encouraging. Thanks for joining us, Kevin.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Great having Kevin Tidy here, along with Amber Bowman, the softball coach here. And we'll be back next Tuesday, 7 o'clock here at Uccellos of Caledonia. So for Kevin Tidy and Amber Bowman, I'm Rick Berkey saying thanks for joining us for the Davenport Football Coaches Show. And go Panthers.